Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro. Let's take a look at the forecast for the moon transiting Taurus to Gemini on Thursday, October 9th. Brings the alchemy of engagement between you and other co-creators, or of you and the creative energy of Source, to the dynamic moment of change where a concept or vision shifts from dream to reality through the momentum of action and expression through focused intention. In other words, your manifesting abilities are at a peak as the moon, shifting from a sensual and material fixed earth sign to an imaginative and social mutable air sign at midday, joins Uranus in Gemini, lighting up a grand trine, a mystic rectangle, two kite aspect patterns, and a castle, pulling in the assistance of Venus in Virgo, Jupiter in Cancer, Neptune in Aries conjunct Saturn in Pisces, and Pluto in Aquarius. Now is the time to go all in and become fully involved and immersed in whatever interests you most. You do not have to know exactly how to do what you are doing, because your innate creativity and intelligence will be responding to whatever unknown factor or subtle nuance you encounter, and you will learn and adjust as you go. All your senses are fully engaged, and it is better to rely on your instincts and natural talent rather than the input of others, especially anyone who will not be responsible for the end result of your work. As the moon and Uranus are sesqui-square to the sun in Libra, and Venus is quincunx to Chiron in Aries. Unless you are studying a competitor's mistakes to avoid making the same error, or to learn what not to do, two T-square aspect patterns, the Sun, Chiron, Jupiter, and Chiron, Pluto, Mercury conjunct Mars, both suggest you mind your own business and let others mind theirs, and avoid making comparisons between you and another, because doing so will slow down your momentum, steal your joy, and replace it with fear and feelings of lack. Cooperative efforts may succeed if all involved share the same goal and ideals, but if not, stick to your plan and principles and work solo. Mercury and Mars conjunct in Scorpio, opposing the moon and Uranus in Taurus, Gemini, and sesqui-square to Neptune and Saturn, indicate that a little bit of fear can be a powerful motivator if it increases a perverse determination to prove to yourself and others that you are capable of handling pressure, challenges, or deadlines, and that your efforts have value and meaning. Feel the excitement of knowing your actions today are putting undeniable success within your reach, and keep moving ahead with the picture of the end result held firmly in your mind, even if others say you are crazy. So here you can see the very busy sky that we have going on. Planets are scattered all over the place, which is why we have all these beautiful aspect patterns being created, as well as the ones that create the pressure, the friction, the aggravation, irritation, challenges that come up that make you rise above them, that make you respond to them. So the T-squares, they're going to be pushing on you, particularly in the realm of relationships, because of the Libra sun, Libra ruling the 7th house of one-on-one relationships, and Scorpio rules the 8th house, where we just go in a little bit deeper in relationship and more financial, or more committed, or more serious, more about merging our values and assets and sharing them, or protecting and defending against us and another if we are not in alignment. So those planets, the fast movers of the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, are under pressure. And some of the work or the lessons in those two T-squares will come down to how you either grow and become empowered or disempowered in your engagement with others. Ultimately, diplomacy, social etiquette, harmony, cooperation, honest communication, integrity, all the finer qualities that come from relationship are what we are supposed to be tapping into right now or thinking about and applying, but sometimes we are presented with people or situations where it is best not to engage and to remove ourselves from the equation for our protection and for theirs, because energy just doesn't align. Sometimes we have the work, though, of being in a higher frequency, and we are meant to raise other people up. And sometimes we encounter people who are vibrating at a higher level, and we are meant to be learning from them and have our energy lifted up. So the discernment, which Virgo right now, Venus in Virgo, is offering discernment through that mystic rectangle as we figure out, whether we do work well with somebody or not, and as we pursue our own interests, our heart, and we think about how we are of service to others through sharing what we are passionate about, what we do very well. But we're also learning new things right now while Uranus is in Gemini and is interacting with Pluto in Aquarius. We can't just be resting on those laurels. We are meant to be learning new things, growing and expanding through that sextile there to Jupiter. And Venus is in Virgo, which is a Mercury-ruled earth sign. That is also about figuring out what is most needed, gathering the data, getting the information or knowledge that we need, and then utilizing it. So there's a lot going on right now. A lot of balls are up in the air, but they're all pulling together nicely because these planets are supporting each other through all these sextiles and trines that are creating the grand trine, the mystic rectangle, one kite here with Jupiter at the head of it, the other kite with Saturn and Neptune at the head of that kite, and then the overall thing that contains all of that energy is that castle with the peak of the roof here, also called an envelope, with Moon and Uranus. So we're at kind of a energy is in motion, but we're also at that moment where something pulls together. If you've ever cooked a gravy or a pudding or something where, or a roux, where you're cooking it to that moment where something pulls together. And it's just that moment where everything is just right. That's what you have going on today. You have the opportunity where something pulls together, something clicks, you're in the moment, you're in the flow, and you just know it and you feel it. And that momentum is going forward. It's not going to pull you backward. You know you've gotten over that moment there, and it is now just right. So do make use of the incredible energy today. Mercury is still challenged. So if you're thinking, but it feels like Mercury retrograde, in a way, yes, because Mercury right now is with a very physical planet, Mars. And I don't know if you've noticed people are just a bit more jumpy or aggressive out there on the road or doing things that are like, oh my gosh, did you just see that? Why did they do that? Well, it's because of what Mercury is doing through those square and the oppositions. So do be careful in transit and keep your wits about you and stay calm. Do not be reactive. There's a bit more of that road rage too while Mercury and Mars are conjunct. And I think people who are already in a negative state are more likely to respond in an extreme way because Mercury and Mars are in Scorpio, and that's ruled by Pluto, which is a planet of extremes, and they are squaring Pluto in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, and that brings in some of that unpredictable energy, plus Pluto opposing Jupiter, that does inflate things and make things bigger. Your own frustration, aggravation, fears, anything that's negative that those squares and oppositions can be churning up right now, ultimately can be turned into a tool rather than avoidance, denial, or stagnation. Um, they can literally motivate you to get unstuck, to overcome a fear, to release something that's negative. If it brings you all to a point of awareness that, well, you don't want to, I think of the expression like there, but by the grace of God go I, if you're going to be using some of the comparing energy of Jupiter in Cancer, squaring the Sun in Libra, and squaring Chiron in Aries, and Saturn and Neptune opposing Venus, if you're going to be looking at that and saying, well, I don't want to be in that circumstance. I don't want to be in the same um, under the same duress that I see somebody else in, then that mystic rectangle is going to kick in because it does contain the energy of those oppositions and helps you to basically get past them and out of them. Because where there is the will, you will find the way, is what that is saying. And once you do begin to show your intention and demonstrate by physically showing up and acting on your intentions, then all the favorable configurations in the sky right now are going to go into overdrive, and the doors will open up for you, and the opportunities will become apparent, and the help from others who are able to assist you will come. You've got to walk a pretty tight and narrow path, though, and recognize when you are swinging from utilizing those squares and oppositions like a tool versus allowing them to be a ball and chain. So I think that's it. Take care, stay safe, and I'll be back again tomorrow.